Welcome Ferndale community at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, December 9th. And we're so glad you're joining us for our virtual town hall to talk about plans for our new Ferndale High School facility. If you're joining us tonight, you probably remember that it was February of 2019 when the Ferndale community passed a bond to build a new high school in our community. And we're very appreciative of that. It was shortly after that we, or it was actually before that we initiated a bond oversight committee. It was shortly after that we hired project managers and began to assemble the team that you see represented on the screen today to guide us through that process. We're at an important milestone right now because we've finished the designs, or we're 90% done with the designs and plans for our new high school. And we're excited to share them with you tonight. When you see the designs, you might see things that you talked about if you gave input. You might see things that aren't the way that you would have suggested. We committed from the beginning to making this a very collaborative process. We involved lots of people, and when you involve lots of people in a design, not every idea is reflected in the final result. We also have a budget, like everybody does, to live within. So, but we're really pleased with what we've been able to come up with. It's all started with a design advisory committee that met for several months, and it started with a vision of teaching and learning and grew out from there. I wouldn't even want to venture how many meetings that we've had to refine and run these plans by various members of our staff and community. This time, I want to introduce the members of our team that are represented on the screen tonight. Like I said, I'm Linda Quinn. I'm the Ferndale School District Superintendent, and I'll turn it over and let each member introduce themselves.
Good evening. I'm Heidi Hansen with Construction Services Group out of the Educational Service District 112. And we have been hired by the school district to be part of the team that is helping to manage this project. And so not only will you see me working on this project, I have several other colleagues from our company that are helping. One of them is here this evening. And you'll also sometimes hear our organization referred to as CSG.
And I'm Tim Jewett with Dyckman Architects, prime design lead and prime consultant on this project, and really excited to be here tonight. Thank you.
And I'm Sam Comer with Cornerstone General Contractors, and we are the GCCM on the project. And what that means is we're the general contractor / construction manager. We've been on the project since the beginning of design to provide contractor input to ensure the process promotes an efficient design and provide our input along the way.
I'm Riley Cornelson. I'm one of the two co-chairs of the Bond Oversight Committee that was put together, as Linda said, before the passage of the bond and commissioned by the school board to kind of oversee on the community's behalf that all the people you see on the screen are doing what the community approved us to do, and keep us on time, on budget, and heading in the right direction. So happy to see where we're at today and looking forward to continuing to share more with the community.
Hi there, I'm Jamie Plankovich. I'm the Director of Maintenance and Facilities for the Ferndale School District.
I'm Ken Kiken from Construction Services Group, working as an owner's representative with Heidi.
Mark, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I had a little trouble with my mute button there. I'm Mark Debach. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Support Services for the Ferndale School District and Technology, as it turns out.
I'm Jeremy Vincent. I'm the principal at Ferndale High School and also the planning principal on this project.
And I think we're going to be joined by, well, I know we're going to be joined in a few minutes by our school board president, Andrew McLaren. He's running a little late. And the other name on the screen, Kelly Warner, is one of our administrative assistants. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Jewett, to unveil the plans.
Okay, great. Thanks, Linda. I appreciate it. Happy to be here tonight. We've got quite a bit of information to get through, and I'll go quickly, but try and hit on all the salient points. And if you have questions.
I was going to turn it over to you, but okay, you were going to say questions. I forgot to say, please put your questions in the chat box if you have them. If we have time at the end of the program, we're going to go till 7 o'clock tonight. We'll answer them tonight. If we don't have time tonight, we will get back to your questions. So sorry, Tim.
No worries. And we'll come, yeah, as Linda said, we'll pull those questions together and make sure that they're all answered either tonight or in writing after the meeting. So thank you very much, and in advance for your comments, and look forward to talking about those later. I'm going to just dive in. We have been through, as Linda kind of alluded to, we've been through quite a long information gathering process and looking for guiding principles and salient important points for us to design around as a design team. We have quite a number of documents produced at this point that have been through various levels of refinement, and we have a pretty broad team of design consultants and engineers that have been involved in this process. We are in the what we're calling the constructability review phase. It's also a budget check that's happening, percent deliverable set. And we will be going out in terms of schedule. We'll be going out to bid in the middle of, with our first packages in the middle of January, and another set of packages in February. Bidding and procurement will wrap up in the spring, and construction will start shortly thereafter. Sam, I don't know if you want to talk any more about that, but we're still planning on opening up and for construction in 2023.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to go through that now, Tim, or the phasing plans, but when we do that towards the end of the presentation. But yeah, plan is right now, procurement will be commencing early next year with the first round of bid packages. We hope to hit the street middle of January, and then continuing the procurement process through March, anticipating a late spring, early summer start on site.
Yeah, and we're currently in for building permit. Permit was submitted in the middle of December, towards the end of November, and so we're in for permit and have starting with the city to go through that process. So we make sure we have a building permit ready for ourselves when we're ready to start construction. So, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the design presentation. We'll look at the site plan. We'll look at a few detailed plans. And then we'll look through several renderings of the project. And then we'll look at a few phasing plans at the end. I'll have Sam talk through kind of what happens when, so you can get a sense of how the project is going to unfold over time. So I'll start my screen share here. Panelists, you can give me a thumbs up if you can see that. We're good. Okay, great. Thank you. So this is our rendered site plan here. You can see north is to the left. We've got our football field here in a new location. Currently, the football field is approximately where the building is. And Sam will get into that phasing a little bit more, but essentially what we're trying to do is build where the building is not so that the school can remain up and functioning during the 2021-22 school year. It's actually probably going to be most of 2 school years that are going to happen while this project is under construction. You can see the existing CTE building here that will remain, but will be part of a district use. There will be other district facilities and functions that will be happening there. And the existing PAC, Performing Arts Center, will be remaining with a few modifications and adjustments, including a seismic upgrade. The primary building here will be a 3-story classroom wing here, the commons in the center there, and an athletics and CTE wing here, which will actually be a pre-engineered metal building. And I can talk a little bit more about that. And maybe Sam can touch on kind of early procurement things that have been going on soon. We got the main drive here coming off of Malloy to Memorial Avenue, Memorial Drive, and then going to a bus loop here that will be the primary bus loop for bus activity, as well as deliveries for school during the school day. The existing tennis courts here will remain. The existing parking here will remain with a few upgrades relative to our storm water system that will be on site. A new parking lot where the existing concessions building is currently. A new drop-off loop off of Golden Eagle and Shuckson here that will drop students off at the front of the school with a few visitor parking spots here. And then to the south of the classroom building, there will be a special ed drop-off loop and delivery to the service yard, as well as some additional staff parking along that edge.
Tim, maybe talk about fencing around the perimeter.
Yeah, so part of our system is, or our design approach here is to provide a secure and safe campus. So what we're doing is providing that safety and security by creating a secure perimeter that includes access between the pack. So there'll be gates and fence across these zones in here in general between the pack and the CTE building. This courtyard that's outside here will actually be within the secure perimeter. So that will be a covered connection between these two buildings that forms the edge of that secure perimeter. And to the back here, that secure perimeter will go from the edge of the classroom building back to the property line here as well. But to the north, these areas of the field of the campus, the football field, the PE field as well, will also all be inside of that secure perimeter, which will essentially align right here with the bus drop-off loop. There will be an pressure activated gates and key card system that will allow the buses in the morning and out as they go about their business. And let's see, so a little bit closer in on that student courtyard here. So you see that the drop-off loop here with the secured courtyard here and that connection between the two areas of the building, the two wings of the building. You can see the classroom wing here a little bit closer in, as well as the bus loop. So all of those spaces to the north, the CTE labs will receive deliveries off of that edge. The new greenhouse, aquaculture, and agriculture science building, which are alternates, and including the Augs Gym, those are also bid alternates. And I'll just stop for a minute and explain what that is. Maybe Sam, you want to do that. I'll let you while I'm clearing my throat.
So as a bid alternate, it's defined in the plans as a separate scope of work. And so the subcontractors, the trade packages, when they bid on those work, they'll provide a base scope for the baseline scope, and then a separate number for an additive alternate for whichever alternate we're talking about. And then those numbers will be compiled and we'll be able to see, okay, did our base scope come in under budget enough to elect to take one of those additive alternates that we have separate pricing for.
Yeah, and we've prioritized those alternates with the district and with the various groups that we've been talking to. The Augs Gym is the primary one there that would be selected first. That's really a kind of a core functionality that we would hope we'll be able to select. We're doing lots of things during the project development. The early procurement that I referred to before and that Sam explained a little bit is a part of that strategy. We're trying to get out to bid early to make sure that we get good bid results and hit the market at a good time to try and accelerate those opportunities and provide as much opportunity to select as many alternates as we potentially can. And with that, I'm going to move on to some more of the detailed plans here. give my screen a second to load. And here we have our main campus. You can see now north is to the top of the page up here. So we've rotated the orientation. The railroad tracks are off to the east on the right here. We've got our 3-story classroom wing here to the south, our main commons here, kitchen here, the PE lab and wrestling room here, the Augs Gym that I talked about is Alt 1, as you can see there, the PE locker rooms and athletics locker rooms and storage, sports medicine here, the main gym, the CTE wing with all the primary labs to the north, classroom functions to the south, and core facilities in the center of that building. We'll get into more detail there and look at those. As you get into the main entrance here, you'll see one of the main focuses of the design as we went through it was where's the front door? And so we all know now where the front door is, and you'll see in some of the renderings, this primary entrance element here will provide obvious, without any signage, a direction to folks as they approach, that the main door is here with admin to the right as you go in through the front door, and counseling inside the building to the east a little bit. As I referred to, the special ed life skills bus loop back here will be, but with bus parking along this curb. Life skills program is located along this edge of the building here. You see culinary arts located off this end with deliveries off of that main access for deliveries and maintenance. Culinary arts here, kitchen, boiler room, main custodial room, all off of that back in a centralized location, minimizing what I like to refer to as kind of the back of the building. We don't like any of our projects to have any back of the building. Want all the perimeter the public can have access to, looking as best as possible. Let's see, with that, I'll move up to the second floor. You can get a sense of what the functions are there. You can see here that this double height spaces, which is the Augs Gym here, the main gym here, and a few, one of the mechanical platforms here for the CTE building up on the second level. Also the mechanical platform over the locker room area there. Second floor of the classroom wing. Just noticing quickly that there's 3 stair towers, one in the center here and one on either end. Those are flanked by support spaces. And I'll zip in there just real quickly. Let my screen refresh. So these spaces are grouped frequently throughout the classroom wing. So we've got a vertical circulation here with the stair, teacher planning, breakout space for extended learning areas, and restrooms all grouped together. There's one of these on each end of the wing, as well as these collab spaces that are accessed off the corridor. This space that we've zoomed in here too, up on the second floor, is the learning commons or library. Also has this help space, which is the tech help program that's part of the CTE program. You can see here that off of the commons, as you come up through the commons, there's this stair up, and there's a tiered seating area down on the first level that steps up to the second floor, which continues to flow out and have flex breakout seating off of that lower level with a nice view in this area, a nice view off to the east. This area open with our Lummi leadership classroom here, right off of that open air area with an operable wall that opens out onto that space. The library here with an operable wall off to this edge as well, opening that space. So this space can all function and flow as a part of a really active zone within the building.
And Tim, that'll be our Lummi leadership and our, Chesquin and our Lummi language class as well. Excuse me, Oksala and Lummi language.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy.
I got your back.
Yeah, you got it. And then this planning space here as well across from the main central stair, and our 3 science classrooms, which will be on the 2nd floor and the 3rd floor. Grouped together here. And then that other central core facility here that we talked about, and gen ed classrooms around the perimeter. You can see that other collab space at the other end of the classroom building here.
Hey, Tim, what's a collab space?
Yeah, so Jeremy, maybe you want to talk about those. We've talked a lot about these kind of flex spaces for the students. You want to go for that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of really cool, I think Dykeman has done a good job of maximizing space and taking what would potentially be, just dead space or hallway space and maximizing it for teaching and learning. So two things I'd draw your attention to. The first being the collab space. And we have one of these on the 1st floor, 2 on the 2nd floor, and 2 on the 3rd floor. And they are little spaces with some soft seating, so some more comfortable seating, a table, a whiteboard. It has a sliding door. The door is glass, it's see-through, so it's transparent. But if you have a paraeducator or a teacher that wants to work one-on-one with a kid on something, they can have a little privacy. They can go into there. If you have a couple students that want to study for their AP exam, they can go in there. If you even have a teacher doing some small group work, he or she can send them into that space. And it just offers our students, and this was feedback directly from students. They want to be in this building, and they want to be and work throughout the building. And so that's what we tried to offer them here. So that creates kind of a private area to do that work. There's also, I think, 3 or 4, 3 in the Learning Commons as well that are very similar. And then Tim, stay right there. There's a couple of extended learning areas as well. And we're seeing those really as extensions of the classrooms, or again, for those spaces for teachers to work one-on-one or in a smaller group with a kid. But we wanted to capture the student feedback where they said, we want this to be a place where we can kind of set up shop anywhere throughout the building. And we've done that in the Learning Commons, and then Dykeman has sprinkled these out throughout the building as well. So
Yeah.
That's kind of what those are.
Students are really looking for places to call their own within the facility. So we want them to feel engaged. We want kids to want to come here. This is part of that whole program.
Yeah, and there's great sight lines, so a teacher can send a group of kids out there, a small group, not half the class, and they can see them. So if they're doing, and that's pretty common around here. We'll have a teacher, kids will be working in groups of 3 or 4, and they'll send them out into the hallway. So now instead of sitting on the floor in the hallway, they're sitting on furniture with tables and chairs.
Cool. And here we are up on the 3rd floor here. Very similar layout to the 2nd floor, except instead of the Learning Commons, we have a teacher lounge here and 3 gen ed classrooms, as well as some building support functions here. The elevator is centralized right off that main entry, so you can go in right off that main entry on the 1st floor and come up and visit any 3 of the levels within the classroom building from the elevator. And our another 3 science classrooms here stacked with the 3 down below on the 2nd floor. And a very similar gen ed classrooms around the rest of the perimeter that we've discussed previously. We'll zoom in and look at a few specifics with the classroom. So a big component of the design was making sure that the school could support 1,600 students in its full design with the core facilities. Currently, the design occupies 1,375 or accommodates 1,375 students, which meets the design criteria. And the common facilities like the gym, the gym bleachers, the commons, all accommodate the 1,600 students. So you'll see the seating total here of 804. That includes seating on 2 different levels, the main common seating and those tiered seating that goes up onto the 2nd floor. And so with 2 lunches of 800 students apiece, we can meet that 1,600 student design goal.
Hey, Tim, would you mind touching on the extension or the planned extension end to the classroom wing?
Yeah, sure.
To kind of to tie in that 1375,
Yeah,
1600.
great idea, right? Let's go back and look at that real quick on this 1st floor level. It's a good point. I should have pointed that out when we were looking at the site plan. Okay, here we go. So this dashed area that's right off the end of the west end of the classroom wing here is that area that would accommodate a 2 classroom or a multi-story classroom addition here to get the student population up to 1,600 students. So the core facilities all support the rest of that, the admin, the counseling, the commons, et cetera. And then those additional gen ed classrooms that help support those programs as well.
So when you build a building like this, it's pretty hard later to go back and expand the cafeteria or expand the gym or put in more. Well, you can put in more restrooms, but that's what you mean by the core areas, right?
Correct.
But it's not that hard, as Riley just pointed out, if it's all ready to go, to add just some classrooms. And so that's why one of our core principles was to make sure that this building can grow as our community grows.
Yeah, and the flexibility during the design, you'll see a lot of the design components. I refer to it as kind of the architect staying out of the way and providing opportunity for flexibility. And as we get into some of the educational spaces, you can see we're focused on furnishings and equipment that form the functions within the spaces, and keeping obstructions and casework down to a minimum to be able to provide flexibility over the long term, because we want this facility to last for a really long time. And we'll look at the big collaborative space, the learning commons here. You can see that tiered seating coming up from the commons, the big commons landing here, the bench, these benches and flex seating spaces that are happening on the 2nd level here. The more flex seating outside of the learning commons and that operable wall that I talked about before. The core of the reading area and the book storage here for the library. And those flex spaces that Jeremy talked about, the collab cubes here and here. And I'm not going to go into all of these spaces, but I'll provide you. These are what we would call test fit plans. So we did these for each of the program areas within the building, and we'll look at a few key ones today. These demonstrate that with the furniture that the district will be procuring, and that the equipment, that will have fully functioning spaces, and we have enough room for everything. So this looks at the CTE wing. On this end here, we've got 3 science labs in the CTE wing, a teacher planning space, an extended learning area here, the media studio, and 2 gen ed classrooms associated with that. The primary CTE labs are off to the north here of these, and I'll just step through them really quickly. We've got a wood shop here that'll be on that east end or west end of the building here, that's now opening onto this enclosed area that's outside, or that's inside now, with a late design change there. We've got our CAD lab next to it that's between the wood shop over here and the metals lab over here. Here's that metals lab here with that engine small engines classroom out in this area here that's now enclosed. Locker rooms. I'll move through some of these pretty quickly. This is the sports med program, which is really cool. Opens directly out onto that outside, the bus loop area, which has direct access out to the fields. The main gym. So we've got bleachers here for 1,600, 800 and approximately 825 on either side. The opportunity for to have tournaments with two basketball courts on either side, with a primary court for main competition here for either volleyball or basketball. Lots of other sports will be striped in the striping plan for those kinds of things. With new AV and new presentation and scoreboards and all of that fun stuff. The Augs Gym, the alternate one, was being designed with just about 200 seats of bleachers off to the side of that main gym here, or that Augs Gym here. With basketball hoops for PE and volleyball court striped as well.
And Augs is auxiliary.
Yeah, thanks, Linda. Yeah,
We're used to our,
my lingo.
yeah, we're used to it, but
Yeah, so this is the admin area. I don't know. Jeremy, you want to talk about that space real quick? 15 seconds?
Yeah, and by admin, it's not just principals, but it's administrative assistants, school nurse, athletics, ASB, attendance, all that main office staff.
You'll come in through the main door here into the waiting area, into that reception spot where you've got a few areas there. And
sorry, Tim, is that what you meant?
Yeah, sorry. No. I'll do the tour.
All right, fair enough.
I'll do the tour. Attendance here, ASB, conference room right up front, small conference room, larger conference room in the back. This main workroom, centralized staff restrooms in the middle. Nurse in the back here, but with an access from the interior of the school here, as well as directly from admin. So any other aspects you want to point out there? I'll let you do counseling.
I can really get deep into the weeds.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Counseling, counselors along the perimeter, itinerants along the inside corridor.
And itinerants, that's our Native American advisors, our Latino advisor, our student support. So just all those other student supports that gives them space. Psychologist is in there. Sorry.
Yeah, perfect. And we've got the career center here, which is on the first floor. So it's got an operable glass wall. It's open to that right off of the commons on the first floor. Central and key to the building layout. Staff lounge up on the third floor, I pointed out earlier. Here are those science classrooms up on the second floor. A little bit more detailed look at those. You can see all the casework, and everything white is furnishings, and everything that's dark is part of the work that's in the contract. And this special ed program here, life skills. We've got 2 life skills classrooms adjoined with a life skills suite here with lots of facilities to help train kids, and another life skills classroom on the other side of the stair here. And with that, I'm going to dive into the pretty pictures. So you can see here, and I'll go through these. These are just a couple of disclaimers. These are artist renderings. The materials are not necessarily final at this point. We do have some materials boards that will be available. Linda, do you want to mention that?
Yeah, that is the exciting part. We actually spent a couple hours this week even looking at things like carpet samples and different furnishings and finishes. And there's an interior person that works with Dykeman who's put together a board with some of our choices, and we're going to have that on display down in Pioneer Pavilion, where the chamber office is. So if you're interested in going through, because for me, that's the part that makes you really be able to feel what it's going to feel like inside that building.
Yeah.
So,
So here you
is
can,
it down there yet, Jeremy? Does Anya have that board yet, or?
I think it's sitting behind Jeremy right now.
Okay, okay. So within the next few days, Anya's gonna find a home for it by the Chamber of Commerce, so you can also enjoy that.
great. Thanks, Linda. And so here you can see those, we call this a bird's eye rendering. You can see from up in the sky a little bit oriented near the bus drop-off loop. You can see that the parent drop-off loop here with some visitor parking along that edge. The 3-story classroom wing here, the commons in the middle. You can see that low covered area and connection here between the two sections of the building. The gym pre-engineered metal building and the CTE pre-engineered metal building. Maybe if I'll pause there while you can kind of see the impact of the pre-engineered metal buildings on the design. Sam, you want to talk about the pre-engineered metal buildings and talk about why and what the purpose there is?
Yeah, absolutely. So pre-engineered metal building is kind of what it sounds like. It's a manufactured building that is designed by the supplier of it, essentially. And so here we've taken a unique approach as a cost saving measure to maximize the scope of the project. And so Dykeman has designed the overall look and layout and architectural feel of these buildings, but we about 6 months ago procured through a competitive process a design build partner for those two structures. And so that entity has been on with us for the past 6 months, iterating through the design process with us as we refine those components. Essentially what their scope of work entails is the complete structure of those buildings, as well as the enclosure skin, including the roof portion of that. And so doing it that way, we can get a really efficient structure to support those spaces at a lower price point than a custom built structure such as the academic wing over on the other side of the site there. And so the athletic spaces and the CTE lend themselves well to that approach. And we've been able to save significant dollars and maximize the scope for the project in doing that.
And you can see here the beginnings of that. Everybody will know where the front door is, and in the evening, everybody will know where they need to go to get into the athletic or assembly area in the gym. We'll move on to here's a closer in look of that main entry. Very striking. You can see the low connection here, the covered connection between the two wings. Main entrance here. South edge of the classroom wing here, you can see the various circulation elements, the stair towers on either end, on either side of the rendering here, and that central stair tower here. You'll see the south facing glazing with sunshades. So a key component of the design is no HVAC, no heating, no air conditioning. Making sure that we keep this building in a way that's maintainable and for a duration, minimizing the amount of mechanical systems, but we're using sunshades to keep the heat outside and maximizing the daylighting. So you'll see these kind of upside down U shapes here for each of the classrooms, provides daylighting at the and vision glass at the perimeter of at the edges of the classroom, while providing a clear story element that's up here that connects, that provides really strong daylighting, gets daylighting all the way into the space, uses our natural daylight to get for most of the year, if not just a few days, that we'll actually only need artificial lighting in those spaces. The CTE building here with that primary entrance, evening entrance for the athletics and CTE here. Here's another look inside that inside the secured courtyard, looking back at the commons. And you can see with the west-facing glazing, we've spent some time thinking about how to prevent sun from getting in there and heating that space up. So you see the sunshades on the exterior there. Providing some operable doors to be able to get out onto that courtyard space on nice days so that we can open up the commons to the exterior. Standing in that space that's inside the secure courtyard, looking back at the main entry, you can see the learning commons and that element here that's pretty strongly emphasized, that center and hub of the school on the second floor in the middle of the school, where all that collaborative active space is happening. Walking inside the commons, here you can see that tiered seating area where we're going to try and reuse some of the gym flooring in some of these spaces, as well as some wall spaces in the gym to kind of provide that history and that connection to the previous building. You can see the student store here, the marketing classroom here, the learning commons up above on the second floor, that perch here, and the career center in the back here. We'll go upstairs here, up that tiered seating and up to the learning commons here. So we're looking back at the main commons here, with all that open flex seating. A view of one of the extended learning areas. This design element has changed a lot to make it a little bit more transparent. You see this is a writable glass surface here. We've got the ability for some of that soft seating and that flex space that Jeremy was talking about right outside of them, of the classrooms. The restrooms here identified with the tile facing the corridor. Give you a glimpse inside a gen ed classroom. You can see that vision glazing that I was talking about at the perimeter, as well as the clear story across the top. That provides a lot of, like I said, visibility from the classroom, but provide lots of natural light in those spaces. And you can see the front of teaching wall here. And to help us with our air movement and ventilation, you can see the ceiling fans will be in all of the learning spaces in that main classroom building. Main entrance here for the admin, the reception counter, main reception counter for the counseling here. Here's that open space on the first floor where we've got that career center open next to the marketing classroom, which has a display along this edge. So the commons, we're walking from the commons into that classroom building there. And here we're out in the commons, a little tighter look at the student store. We'll be providing, these are kind of placeholder graphics, but the idea is to provide some nice historic photos that we're working with a group on.
I don't know, Tim, those look pretty good as is.
There you go. We did a good job right out of the box. And then the servery here, which is where students will go for getting their food. So we got the kitchen right off the commons there. Standing up on the perch, looking back over the commons towards the learning commons. Here's the inside of those doors that open out onto the courtyard. Here's that big flex space up on the second floor, the learning commons operable wall here. perch looking out from the third floor. You'll be able to see from the third floor all the way into the commons through this space. Really start to try and connect the whole building together.
Tim, this is the corner where the Lummi class.
Oh yeah, right. And that's this classroom right here.
Yeah.
Just a
So
little.
there is some space around there for artwork and whatever, and that's one of the things that we've
Right.
talked about. We're just not quite there yet, but yeah, we just got placeholders in it right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Inside the learning commons here, you can see that in space. And the reading stacks back here. The inside of the main primary gym with this 800 seats on either end, scoreboards. This is looking out to the north, I believe. Here's a snapshot of one of those collab cubes at the end of the corridors. A look inside the science rooms here. You can see those ceiling fans here, front of classroom, demonstration desk, 8 fixed stations around the perimeter of the classroom. Here's a glimpse of that, of the life skills classroom here. And that space between the life skills classroom, which provides a good opportunity for learning there. Inside the marketing classroom here, so we've got the student store through this door here, directly off of the marketing classroom, and then the back wall of the marketing classroom is the display area as well. So that's opens right out onto the space off the commons. Here you can see one of the teacher planning spaces. And teacher planning spaces up on the second or third floor.
And Jeremy, one of the questions that I see in the chat is about the number of classrooms and whether we have more or fewer or less. And maybe this would be a good time to talk about the concept.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and I can answer that question as well. So the current Ferndale High School has, I'll double check, I'll quadruple check this, but you know, the best way to put it is learning spaces. We have about 61 learning spaces right now, and that includes weight room, art room, gen ed classroom, life skills classroom, etc. And this new facility, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're right around 59 learning spaces. So it's pretty close. But what Linda's mentioning right now, and the reason why we have these teacher planning areas. So the way we're kind of going about this is teachers won't have their own room. They'll share classrooms. So they'll be in 1 to 2 to potentially 3 different classrooms over the course of 2 days. But they'll have kind of a home base in those teacher planning areas with other members of their department. And then they'll teach in classrooms nearby to those spaces as much as possible. But that was kind of the philosophy that we went with to kind of up the collaboration with our teachers and just give us some flexibility within the teaching space.
Well, and also the efficiency of the building, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Where we don't have 25% of classrooms sitting empty in any given period of the day.
Yeah, we utilize about 50 classrooms a period is what we need. And so, you know, this still gives us a little flexibility and some room for growth. We're not at 100% capacity. But right now, yeah, we're not as efficient as we will be in the new building.
And you've probably noticed that the word efficient has been used a lot of times throughout this, and trying to be cost effective and efficient.
It's just true.
Heidi, is it fair to say our cost per square footage is per square foot is on the low end of high schools built in the state of Washington. This,
Yes, compared to the average cost per square foot of high schools recently constructed, we are on the lower end.
yes. And that's okay. That's our community told us they wanted good value for their dollar. And so we're working to give them the best possible. It's going to be lovely, but it's not going to be the most expensive building that's been built by a long stretch. And we're making the most of every dollar.
In those teacher planning areas, we'll have a copy machine, a kitchenette. So they'll, again, kind of go with the efficiency theme. There'll be a nice space for the teachers to work and collaborate. And, you know, we did that instead of making a big workroom and making a big teacher's lounge. You know, we utilized that space and put it to there and you know, create as much classroom space as possible.
And I just brought up the phasing plans here, which I'll tab through as Sam kind of guides us through the discussion here on the phasing plans. So this is our phase 1, May 2021 through August 2022 for phase 1.
Yeah, and I just want to comment as when we put these phasing plans together and how we organize the site, we do so with two things in mind. First in our minds is that's ensuring the safety of the students, staff, and the public, and safeguarding the educational environments. And so what you see here is the construction of this phase, which is the better part of the project. We're isolated on the backside of the campus. There's a clean separation between what's under construction, as Tim's hovering over the fence line there, in the active campus. And so the active campus has free flowing access in this phase throughout all the buildings, while we're isolated on the backside with clean separation, constructing the new building portion, all of it but the CTE portion and that first phase. And then we're starting the new stadium construction as well, in anticipation of being able to turn over the athletics portion first to gain access to demolish the gym and continue the stadium construction. If we flip to the next phase, that shows that. So in this phase, this would be coming back to school I gotta get my years right, of August of 22. And so the new gym space is now turned over for school use. That gets access to the construction crews so that we can demolish the existing gym. And as I mentioned, continue the construction of the new stadium. All while we're continuing the completion of the new academic wing and common space, getting ready for that to turn over after first semester of the school year, the 22-23 school year. And that brings us into the third phase. During this phase, we're turning over the classroom, the new classroom wing. That gives us access to demolish the existing classroom wing. It also allows us to start construction of the new CTE wing that Tim is hovering over there right now. At this time, we'd also be demolishing existing commons kitchen space, having turned that over. So essentially, the school at this phase is got full use of the new facility, except for that CTE wing that's under construction. And then the final phase, kind of wrapping up of summer of 23, where we're doing the PAC renovation and seismic upgrade, tying the site together and bringing everything together for the school. And at the end of this phase, the project is complete. The stadium is being turned over. And so fall of 23, the new campus is in full use.
We have about 5 minutes left. Mark, are there other questions? Or maybe questions?
Sorry,
from-
the screen shifted, moved my mute button.
Okay.
So we have one question that's left unanswered at this point. And the question is, what was the reasoning for only having one toilet per men's restroom?
Well, I'm not sure where that came in, but I can go back and look at those plans. We have the primary restrooms in the facility, which I'll just bring up here real quickly, so we can answer that. And I'll screen share while we're at it.
And while Tim's looking for that, I will say one of the comments came in from Curtis, said, "This is amazing. I can't wait to see it built and have students inside it."
Us too.
Yeah, so you'll see this grouping of restrooms here. And we do have two in the men's side. We have 2 toilets here and 2 urinals on this side. And this restroom, that layout, as well as a staff restroom here, this layout together is grouped twice on each floor of the classroom wing. And we have that arrangement on each of three floors. So there's 6 restrooms in the building of the classroom building. And in addition to that, there's additional restrooms off of the commons over here, directly off the commons. And then obviously in the PE, athletics, locker rooms areas, as well as some common restroom access for public and students, public in the evening, students during the school day off of the gym corridor here and adjacent to the CTE. So hopefully that answers that question. Yeah, and with that, that's a majority of the presentation today with a couple of minutes to spare.
Mike,
And I think we've got a couple more questions that just came in.
yeah.
So it looks wonderful. Thanks for being efficient and smart with the money. We appreciate that. From Aaron Gunter. And Mike would like to know the location of the baseball and softball fields.
Okay. Quickly here, I'll go up to that.
Tim, I think you could just say they're not moving.
Yeah.
Current location.
So we're just about out of time. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. And what is it called? The design book, Tim?
Yeah, the design development booklet.
Design development booklet, which contains most of the drawings that you've shown us tonight. Does it?
Yeah, it does. All of the renderings and most of the plans.
I haven't looked at it on the website, but I know it's on our website.
It's rather voluminous.
Yeah. And so if you saw something, and we've also recorded tonight, so we'll post that. But if you saw some plans tonight that you want to look at more closely, you can check them out on our website. And then I'm wondering if anyone else on the screen has any final comments?
I will say to Brent's question, can you repeat the dates of the phases? We will put that in the update at the end of the month or at the end of the week on the Friday update.
Okay. Don't let me forget then. Okay. All right.
We really appreciate it, really appreciative of the community support and all the discussion we've been able to have with the community through this process, and staff and students. I think that staff really feels like we've embedded them ourselves with them and have talked with them so much they're almost tired of us.
But we're not tired of looking at these pictures of the new school.
Very
So,
excited to get this.
We're thankful for our bond oversight committee and our board and the members of our team. We started out saying that we wanted this project to be, and Riley said that today too, on budget, on time, as planned, and we want to be transparent. And we are managing to stay on budget and on time. And we will do more of these programs if this is what our community wants. But thank you for joining us tonight. And with that, I think, Mark, we can say it's a wrap, unless somebody has last question, comment. Okay, thanks for joining us, Ferndale. It's a great team.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Good night. See you all soon.